chat. Okay.
Works for me.
Great. Well, thanks so much for jumping on. So we're talking tonight about attacking the warm list warhead, something that is so great to talk about as you're getting started. Last week, Reagan talked to us about before we met to start making our list. Did anybody put together a list of 25 by chance? Okay, cool. Well, this is something that,
I'll just tell you, I have all Teamsy, so.
Yeah, I know. I was going to talk about that too. I put together a short list, but I have one that's just, constantly going. So I think that this memory jogger, to where they start, this list of who do you know is amazing. So if you're just getting started on your list, definitely take a look at this, because there is a category from anything under the sun. And they mentioned about starting everybody with a list of 2,000. What do you guys think about that?
Wow.
Then again, if you looked at your Facebook,
right.
Actually interesting to see how I've just kind of collected people over the years. And I can see how nowadays, that's probably really actually pretty doable.
Yeah.
Maybe not 2,000, but I mean, definitely you could really get started pretty quickly and put 300 people on the list, without even thinking, really.
Yeah. I think one of their goals, what he was saying, is if you tell your new person to put together a list of 2,000, they'll probably come up with at least 200 or a couple hundred. So I guess that's a good way to kind of kick it off. But so yeah, for those of you who are new, I see Beth. Hey, Beth, welcome to the call. I know you're just joining us to our team too. So this is great for you all. Just a great reminder of kind of how to get your memory jogger kicked off. Okay, so the first warm list warhead, you guys tell me if you've experienced this, is lack of conviction. Has anybody gone through this lack of conviction as you're kind of getting started? I was just going to read a little piece. He says, I've gotten so involved in a new business that's intrigued me. Just that he has a little blip that he put together. And he says there are so many people making more money in a month than most money make in a year. What got my attention was the lifestyle. I just love the verbiage that he's put together in this. So to kind of come up with your conviction, we have this product, we have this business, and just to kind of put full, backing behind what we actually have is, something that we have to just start building as we're new and building our team. Does anybody have any thoughts or on lack of conviction? Okay. This was something, the second warhead was something that I have personally struggled with, would be lack of self-esteem. Being kind of afraid as you're getting started into something new that, kind of being a little cautious that some of the friends that you're approaching are going to kind of laugh at you or ridicule you for being an entrepreneur. Has anybody experienced that lack of self-esteem? Yeah, I think that's something that's really natural, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that he says is the biggest challenge you're going to face just as soon as you succeed in this business will be the anger of people to whom you've never shown this opportunity. And I love that. I love kind of flipping it and kind of going from, oh my gosh, what are these people going to think of me? They're going to think I'm silly. This is a silly, business that I'm joining. To flipping the script in your mind and thinking about these people are actually going to be angry at me if I don't share this opportunity with them or share this amazing product. And I kind of think that was an interesting, flip of the script. I really loved that. I loved that in this business, something that kind of can boost your self-esteem is anybody Whether you're a student or a maid, can sponsor anybody, you know, a CEO of a corporation. And he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you think of yourself as a 5, once you sponsor someone who is a 10 in your mind, you kind of move past that comfort zone and offer everyone on your list the opportunity, just because you've hit somebody who in your mind is a 10 and is would be a go-getter for you. And that kind of flips the script for you too. So I love these different situations that he creates. I think that was super smart. Okay, so the third warhead was fear of losing credibility. I've definitely gone through this too. Kind of joining a networking marketing industry, you kind of feel that some people might, especially coming from a corporate world or whatever world we came from, we worry that people will feel like we've lost the credibility in their eyes. Kind of goes along with lack of self-esteem to me. So if we come off, if people sense our doubts or uncertainty, then they're also going to be suspicious. That's what he said. So I feel like these kind of obviously all flow together, you know, boosting our self-esteem, really getting a backing about this product that we have to share and this business that we have to offer. What does anybody think?
Yeah, I would even say, you know, this idea of like credibility, like some people aren't so much worried about losing their credibility. I mean, I think that's obviously a piece of it, and
yeah,
the network marketing piece. But also, like, not all of us are like, you know, awesome fitness professionals like Sukhan Hood that know what your bodies should be.
Yeah.
Stuff, or a doctor, you know, or a nutritionist or a dietitian or things like that. It's like maybe sometimes we come to the table thinking that we don't have the credibility to share. And then I have to remember that, okay, what we're sharing is just produce, and everybody knows that produce is good, and that we don't have to be a doctor or physician or a amazing professional to be able to share that information with people that we care about and that we love. So I think it can kind of work both ways. Like we feel like, oh, I'm either going to lose my credibility, or maybe I don't have enough credibility.
Right.
I'm not the professional, you know? So I think that kind of got in my way at the very beginning, because I didn't grow up knowing about the power of nutrition, and it was part of my health journey and where I discovered that. And so I kind of struggled with that. And sorry, I have this like fly that it won't leave me alone. But you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's like we kind of have to gain that credibility as we go through our journey. Like none of us, I mean, have that specific training unless you're a doctor or like Sue, like exactly like you said. But when we can, you know, be on calls like this and learn from each other, I think that kind of builds our credibility. And, you know, our people need to know that we're a believer. So if we're coming in with something like, oh, I don't know, you might want this, you might not, you know, but if you're like, you need this is fruits and vegetables, we're all not getting it, you know, I think it kind of just changes people's mindset when they hear the passion that you have for it. So.
And I think a lot of times too, at least like for me, Jenna, too, like, I mean, even, you know, as a dentist, I mean, I don't have, and I've always been like, I would say conscientious about what I eat, but I still didn't know even half of what I've learned through this company, right? And so I don't think I ever felt like, I've never felt like I'm too good to do this, so I don't want to lose my credibility as being a doctor, you know what I mean? But sometimes I think people, I lose confidence because I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, just pull your doctor card or you're a doctor or whatever. And that, you know, I don't have a big team. And so I lose confidence in me because, you know, everybody, there's like this expectation that, you know, you're a doctor. So God, I mean, everybody's going to have to, I mean, I'm sure they just listen to you and they would just want to, but that's not always the case either. Yeah. You know,
it goes both ways. Yep.
Yeah.
That's really true. So whether you're, you know, a novice in this business or you've been here a long time, you know, we all kind of go through this. So I just love these warheads. And it's also interesting to kind of to reread and be like, oh yeah, I went through this when I started, and I'm still going through this. And it's nice to know that we kind of all have these feelings, you know, as we progress through the business. And so it's nice to know that these are some things that we can get over if we just, you know, plug in and keep working through it. So the fourth warhead is embarrassment from prior failure in MLM. So I don't have any experience. This is the first, you know, network marketing business I've ever done, but I know that Reagan's had like 7 other experiences. Has anybody else on the call done any other businesses like this? You can lend your words of wisdom. Sue? Yeah.
I can tell you that I was involved with Isagenix, actually. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Involved with Isagenix in Colorado before I relocated even to Arizona. So it was prior to Juice Plus. And all I was told is that if you want to get involved with, you need to become a distributor. You couldn't just be a customer. You had to sign up and become a distributor right away. And the first thing you had to do was take their shake mix 3 days and prove to everyone you could lose 10 pounds in 3 days.
Wow.
And that was kind of their whole deal. And I went, okay, well, that doesn't sound very healthy or smart, because it just, and trying to share that with people and make them think that it was you're going to just suddenly be a new you. Well, you're going to gain that 10 pounds right back again before the week. I mean, but that was their whole marketing strategy at the time. I couldn't get behind that. I didn't really believe it. And I knew, as a person and in nutrition, I knew that wasn't doable. But my friend said, oh, do it for me, involved because of me. So I did, and that never went anywhere from me.
Yeah.
So, and then Juice Plus was me, and it went from there. So
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, you know, the experiences that we have where we could be embarrassed that, you know, we did something else that we didn't necessarily believe in or succeed in or whatever. I just also love the way he formulates that. You know, you could share it with the same group and kind of just pull from your experiences and say something about how you've researched them all and you've come up with, you know, you've discovered the best tried and true system, and this is what it is. And so I'm excited to share it with you. So if you've ever experienced that, I really love that, that fourth warhead there. So be sure to reread that one. Okay, the fifth one, qualifying the leads. So I know when I got started putting my list together, I definitely, you know, was going through the people that I knew and was thinking, okay, this person, yes, this person definitely, and this person, no. And then people surprised me. Did anybody else go through that too? Yeah. It's amazing who comes out of the box, out of the woodworks, and is like, yep, this is for me. And the people that you think are going to jump right on board just don't. And they might be your hardest. So I think his whole point in this fifth thing that he's laid out is just don't try to qualify people. Just put everybody down on paper that you know.
all right.
Can I say one more thing about the other, being in other multi-level marketing businesses?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry, I have the baby here too. I've been in several different companies, and I think the biggest thing for me is finding something that I'm passionate about. And Juice Plus really struck a chord with me after my son was in the hospital. This one right here. And, you know, other businesses that I've been involved in, they were great and they had, you know, good marketing plans, but they just didn't strike a chord inside of me somewhere. And I think that's a really big point for being able to move forward and get really excited about it, is to find something that you're passionate about doing. And even though I don't know what I'm doing, I'm really excited about it. So that's pretty cool.
I think that's the best place to come from, is just the excitement, you know?
Yeah.
That's all you really need. And he talks about this a lot. You have to have excitement, which makes conviction. And that's how you do it. And I'm so glad you're here, Beth, because I know Jill's super excited. So I'm glad.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Glad
I'm
that
pretty
you.
lucky.
Yeah.
Thank
I think that
you.
makes sense. Okay, so the sixth warhead is conflict of interest. Did anybody kind of go through this if you were in a profession that you didn't want to, you were worried about sharing it with anybody in your world, whether it be your patients or colleagues or other customers?
I've run into that where I actually did a talk for a periodontal office one time. And I mean, just out of the blue, well, I shouldn't say out of the blue, but right before I got ready to talk, one of the doctors said something about having, you know, are you paid to do this or whatever, right? And it kind of threw me a little bit because, I mean, I am paid, right? I'm paid on my customers, but I'm not paid to be a speaker for the company. So yeah, I mean, that really did. I mean, like that really threw me for a loop. And I'll tell you that sometimes is an issue when you talk to other medical people, is that they're worried about getting in trouble for offering a product, right? Which is kind of interesting because I can sell toothbrushes and I can sell toothpaste and I can give somebody a prescription for a medication, right? But when I want to offer them like fruits and veggies, and I have it in my office. I have displays in every one of my hygiene rooms, every one of the doc rooms. So, I mean, I have it out there and I do talk to patients about that. But I know for others, that's a big issue. They're concerned about that, you know?
Yeah.
Or what are their patients going to say about, oh, are you making money off that? And I'm like, okay, so if I sell you this prescription toothpaste, guess what? I'm making a profit. And I'm selling you this mouth rinse and I'm making a profit.
Right.
But they don't ask me about that.
Right.
So
yeah, interesting.
Because it's sort of like outside of the scope of what the patients see. Like, I think it'd be different maybe in a medical office, although they're really, really hesitant, I feel like. But in the dental office, I think it's sort of like outside of that scope. It's like, well, you're talking about something else that's not like specifically tooth related in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, so yeah, I've definitely run into that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, he kind of says if you're worried about that, just kind of prospect through your regular lifestyling. But, you know, if you work in a profession like you, Jen, you know, that's what you do. And those are the people you speak with. And so I know that's kind of a big hurdle. So that's really interesting. We'll have to figure out, you know, I know a lot of people have been successful doing it in their offices. It'll just be interesting to know how they through that. Yeah. Okay, he talks a lot about target marketing, which is just, you know, going through your list and putting together the target markets of people you want to work with. So whether that would be like moms of new kids or medical professionals, anybody who's looking for a new business opportunity or part-time replacement of income, that kind of thing. So I think he's just kind of going through new ways to categorize. Did anybody find when he was talking about the use of three-way calling interesting? I love three-way calls, so I wanted to know what you guys thought about that. I think it kind of makes sense. He talks about like not, you don't want the first introduction with somebody to be on a three-way call. Obviously, you don't want the person to feel like, you know, you're ganging up on them or they don't want to feel uncomfortable. Using three-way calls after the initial networking and, you know, conversation. I love it because I think it's a great way to kind of add that third-party validation. So the best time for three-way calls after a prospect has seen the presentation and likes what you've already heard. I know Sue mentioned using Teamsy. This book is, you know, a little bit old, so they talk about like a note card filing system, which I don't think any of us have done in a really long time. But if you've been around with Juice Plus, Mel, do you remember how they used to send us like the big binder of, you know, you have to like send the postcards out?
Fat binder.
Yeah.
Like crazy. And
yeah, it's so funny. So I just got started with Teamsy. I know if you all have had a lot more experience than I have. So Teamsy, for those of you who don't know, is just a way to kind of put all of your contacts into one database, and then the company or the system will work with you. Maybe somebody else can explain it better, but we'll work with you to kind of, you know, pop up who you're supposed to talk to that day and kind of help you prioritize your daily method of operation. I know we've done a lot of talking about Teamsy on the past calls. So if you're new to it and you want to know about it, you can get it free for 30 days, and I can definitely tell you more. Starting with warm marketing prospecting, you know, he kind of goes into is just the best way to do it. So if you're new, just put everybody down on paper. You're going to see more success from your attitude than from your ability. We were all new at this at one time. We all kind of had to just jump in with both feet and kind of get our feet wet and learn. So if your attitude is excited and your belief is great, then your chance of success is a lot higher. So if you can work with your new people to kind of build their confidence, put their lists together, and kind of make a plan of attack. Also, he talks about, you know, you're first and foremost an educator. You're not a salesperson. You're not a professional recruiter. Your job is to just teach as many people that there's a better way to live, a better way to, you know, to have better health, you know, and a better way to make an income. So anybody else have thoughts on that? Goal is to kind of raise curiosity rather than, like, you know, barf all over everybody.
I do love the idea of being an educator, because that really kind of takes the pressure off. And it also, you know, makes you really kind of qualify your people before you start talking to them. You're like, are these people interested? Is this something that they want to learn about?
Yeah.
You know, rather than me trying to convince and sell them on something, right?
Yeah.
Where if you have an engaged learner and you're able to then teach and educate, it takes the pressure off of feeling like you have to be a salesperson, which I don't know that any of us really truly, you know, want to sell our friends and family on something that they really don't want.
No.
Fortunately, we have an awesome product that pretty much everybody needs.
Yeah.
And so I do love that I get to educate people about that. And I think that's awesome. And we get to educate people about a better way to make an income, and that knowing that it's not for everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. And I know we've heard this a lot, but he calls it the SW rule. Some will, some won't. So what? You know? Mm-hmm. We're going to experience a lot of no's, but we're also going to experience a lot of yeses. And those people that do say yes, you know, we have the ability to bless them and, you know, with better health, maybe with better finances, and, you know, perhaps some of those other people will come back around. So and I know it's hard not to take it personally, all those no's, but I love it. Some will, some won't. So what? You know, it's really no big deal in the end of it. So.
Yeah, and going back to Teamsy a little bit.
Yeah.
In that idea of, like, you know, really our job is to create really great relationships. And I do think that Teamsy is very, very focused on that. And so it allows us not to be worried about the outcome, right? Like, we're just, you know, helping people along the way in this relationship with us. And this might be the right time for them, and this might not be the right time. But if we can keep that relationship intact and plugging away and reaching out and loving on them, you know, at different spots, you know, during the week or month or even years, right? Keeping ways to stay in relationship with people. It really does make you feel good, and really allows us to help people truly.
Yeah.
Thinking about the relationship and how to grow it.
Exactly. He talks a lot about relationship marketing, and that's just kind of how I was going to end it. Because gosh, it's almost already 7, but he talks a lot about relationship marketing. That's exactly what we do. We go out there and we meet new people, or we tell our friends kind of what we discovered and what we're excited about. And we know that everybody can use this. And it just all stems from all the relationships that we have and that we can cultivate. And I think that's what's so exciting is we have people on our team that I didn't know years and years ago, but we've become really good friends. And I think that's kind of what it's all about, is just keeping those relationships in mind. And it starts with, just kind of putting your list together, pulling people from the past, people from, all areas of your life that you can kind of speak to and share with just from your heart. And so I think this relationship marketing is really important. So it's something to keep in mind, as you're kind of working through your list and you're running this business. Are there any questions on this chapter? Anything that anybody wanted to mention?
One thing I just would like to say, I think I think up until maybe even Teamsy, and honestly, I'm just starting the trial and stuff right now. I was going to do it a little bit ago and I got caught back, but it's helped me feel like I'm still being productive in my business, because I tend to talk to people a lot, but I didn't think that counted. Do you know what I mean? Like if I didn't talk to somebody about the product or the business, I hadn't really done anything with Juice Plus, right? I hadn't done anything today for my business. And this puts a little bit of a different spin on it, and it makes me feel like, like even today I went and I logged a few things and it was like, okay, cool. Like I went through and I did this, and it does. And it makes you feel really, really good about just like, again, just that relationship and keeping that relationship. And, as you get to know people better, whatever, things may open up, or you may just, be able to have that piece in there. But I think, I think Teams is going to really help me with that. So today was day one for me, but I already feel like that. Like it's just listening to the calls, I was already feeling that way. But I think just to keep that in perspective, because just because you don't talk about, you have to talk about it or you're not going to get anywhere. I get that. But it doesn't mean you haven't done anything if you haven't talked about the business, versus I feel like the old way was like, I have to make sure I talk to somebody today or 3 people today, at least say something about the business. And I would feel that pressure of like, okay, it doesn't feel natural, but I need to bring it up.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of bridging that for me. That's just my personal take.
Yeah, no, Jen, I definitely agree. I think a lot of this is just, like you said, keeping that relationship, and then just keeping an ear open and bringing it up when the time is right. And that way that person knows they can trust you, because they can, and you care about them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, Jen, I'm just going to say, if I may, that what I really liked at the very end of the summary of the, he just says, remember to ask for referrals. If you can learn to replace every no with just one prospect, your warm list will never run out.
Yeah.
And I think that's key, to always keep that forth in your mind. When someone goes no, you just go, well, who do you know then? If you're not in trouble, who do you know? And he gives some examples there too, which I like that whole approach. Never walk away feeling badly. You can actually get a referral thing and keep going forward. So.
Yeah. I've never done that, but I think, if you do that, that might kind of set off something else in that person's brain that you were just speaking of. Like, well, they really mean business. Maybe I should take a second look at that. So.
Sometimes,
and it's funny, I was thinking about something today about that.
A year later, they come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about a gal today who kind of said, she's crazy busy, and now she's homeschooling her kids, and then she adopted one, and her husband travels, and I think they're vegan, and I've talked to her before, right? And she's just like, do a lot of that, do a lot of veggies. And it's funny because I saw her again today. I see her at the gym a lot, but I just happen to see her outside of it. And it's funny because that whole thing, Sue, came up. I thought in my brain, I'm like, I should have said to her, look, I know you said you're really healthy and you eat all this stuff, but if you happen to know people who aren't as healthy, aren't doing as well as you, would you mind sending them my way? You know what I mean? And that's so funny because I just was thinking that today.
I love that.
That's perfect.
That's a really good point.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have anything else before we close off? I'm so
excited to see whoever's going to Sacramento. It should be fun.
Yes. See you in Sacramento. Kristen, I'm so glad you're on. Everyone say hi to Kristen Bradbach. She just rejoined our team, so she's back.
Yay. Hi, Kristen.
Kristen.
Hello. Happy to be back. Excited to meet everybody in person one of these days.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So glad you're here.
I know. Me too.
Yeah. So the next week's is fending off the scatter bomb. Stay focused amidst all the distractions. Which
Do you think she'll still do that after conference? I know sometimes she'll take a day. I don't know.
Sure. I'm not sure, but I'm sure she'll let us know. So
Sure.
stay tuned.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Jen.